Wait, give me a minute. Great go. Here we go. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good
Morning.
morning, Facebook family and YouTube family. What I have here is Mayor Torrance Harvey from upstate New York, Newburgh. And Facebook family, like I said again, I cannot see your comments and I can't see your remarks. But if you would like to come over to my YouTube channel, and we're gonna open the panel, and if anybody have any questions to ask him, he can. But the meanwhile, the ones for the first time, I'm introducing my mayor, Torrance Harvey, to the penthouse and to the ones on YouTube. Again, this is a one-on-one, and I always do it basic, comfortable, and simple. And we're gonna break it down. Very simple. So again, if I had never heard of you before, I would like to ask you, and I'm saying this to the ones who don't know you. I know you're a mayor. I know you have a twin.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I would like to know how long you've been in politics for and everything. Could you introduce yourself to the Penthouse Angels and my YouTube family?
Absolutely. First and foremost, thank you, Sheila E. and the Penthouse folks, and all those that are watching. My name is Mayor Torrance Harvey, Mayor for the city of Newburgh, New York. Newburgh
In the house.
in the house, and I'm the youngest of eight. You know, I have a twin brother, Torino Harvey. He's in the insurance business. So all of you guys that need supplemental insurance or life insurance, get your life insurance. He does that, and I've been in politics for about 7 years. I've taught American history and government, civics. I've taught global history for 23, going on 24 years. In September, it'll be my 24th school year with the Newburgh and Large City School District. I've also taught at Upper Bound and at Marist College for 5 summers. I also taught as an adjunct professor at Mount St. Mary College, at West Point, and at Marist College, and SUNY Orange. I've done part time adjunct professor work as well in the realm of either education and or teaching history. And so being a teacher of civics, civic education, government, um, I felt like it was time to walk the walk instead of just teaching the talk. So I
Okay.
got elected in 2015.
Mhm. I'm
Uh,
gonna ask you a question. What made you decide to run? Because I know being a teacher
mhm,
is a lot on your plate because most teachers
mhm,
they really care about their students, and
mhm,
also I know you're real active in the community.
mhm.
And I would like to ask you, what made you run for city council before you became?
Well, I was already teaching 12th grade civics, right? About government, how the government at the federal, state, and local level is organized and how it functions. So I was already teaching that to high school students for
Mhm.
many years. And then Sidney Holmes, who was a city council member, approached me, and I had already had an interest in running. I met with Tiambe Talley Carter
Mhm.
and Miss Sadie Talley. I met with Sadie Talley and Tiambe, her daughter, and asked them, hey, I'm thinking about running, for city council, and if you guys are willing to support me, because I knew that they were very active in the community. Miss Sadie Talley, back in the days, with she had an organization called what's CPR.
And matter of fact, that's why I got my I started my career there.
Oh wow,
Yeah, from AHRC, and then from there, that's when I got my state job. Right after,
nice.
yeah, working with people with mental illness.
Very nice. Yeah. So Sadie Talley, Miss Talley,
Mhm.
and her family. So I worked with her and CPR. I was a youth advisor and a tutor, and for the Boys and Girls Club, Glen Hines. So when I wasn't teaching, I was at Glen Hines, after school tutoring for free, with Reverend McAllister and all of those guys.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I got to know the families and the communities by being an educator. And also my church family at the time, Baptist Temple Church, Reverend Saul Williams, Larry Lindsay, a lot of the deacons, Deacon Lewis, Pop Lewis.
Yes. I ran with him for education.
Yeah, he was on the president of the board of education. So a lot of those folks were my mentors. And so, after being seasoned and mentored by a lot of these giants in the city of Newburgh, I thought it was good for me to run. And I started talking, and then the word kind of got out. And then Cindy Holmes reached out to me. That's how I met Jonathan Jacobson as well. And Hillary Rayford, Jonathan Jacobson, and myself created. Yeah, we were a team.
I'm laughing because me and Amari would run against y'all.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember. Yeah, you and Amari was running.
And remember that what Jonathan would do, and a lot of people don't understand, before you
get on the ballot,
they had to make sure all your signatures is correct. And what they did was they tried to knock us off the ballot. Jonathan did. But he didn't know we had made a copy, and we made sure all our ballot. So what I had to, they had to go right back. They tried to knock us off, go right back. I had a copy, and they had to put us right back on the ballot. But y'all, I'm telling you, y'all blew us out the water. Y'all did.
Yeah, man. That was in 2015. Mm-hmm. So that was 7 years ago. And
that was 7. And I have to ask you a question too, because when I look me up, I could look me up on the board of education, and I could see when me and Pop Lewis had ran. But when I ran for city council, I can't find that. I wonder why.
Oh yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting. Yeah, the board of elections out in Orange County would be able to answer that.
Because I have it on my bio, but I just wanted that. But again. So that's what made you decide to run.
Yeah, I felt like we wanted. Newburgh is such a great city. It's a historical city, and I wanted to bring positive change. That's all I wanted to do. I don't care about fame. I never thought I would be a mayor. I never had intentions of running for mayor. I just want to be a councilman, make positive change for this city because I love the city. I found. I'll be honest. They say, "Oh, you wasn't born in Newburgh." No, I wasn't born in Newburgh. I was born in Poughkeepsie. I was born and raised in Poughkeepsie, but I was reborn in Newburgh. Here is where I found Christ for myself in this city. And I tell people I wasn't born in Newburgh, but I was reborn here, and that's just as significant, if not more, to me as a man of God, right? I was reborn in this city. This is where I found the Lord Jesus Christ as my Savior in Baptist Temple Church, where I was baptized, and also where I married my wife. I got married in Baptist Temple 22 years ago. So that's why I love the city, and that's why I believe in the city. It's a gritty city. City of Newburgh is very gritty, and the people are tough.
Ooh, let me tell you something now. Being you the mayor, and everybody don't understand, we also have a city manager.
Correct.
Can you break that down? A city manager or a mayor, or a city manager and the supervisors? Because some towns don't have mayors, they have supervisors. Correct. So break that down to an individual. What is your responsibility? And if your heart is right and you want to change the policies or bring some laws, some people don't understand that you can't just do that on your own. Y'all have to vote. So can you break that down to the ones who really don't know about politics and how,
Yeah, so you got to look at your government, if you're a city, if you're a town, if you're a hamlet, if you're a village, they're organized in different ways, right? So if you look at just all the cities, so let's put aside towns, villages, hamlets, and those municipalities, right? All cities have a mayor, right? But if you're a town or you're a village or you're a hamlet, you might have a town supervisor, right? So in a city, all cities typically have mayors. And if you're a mayor, you have what they call a strong mayor, and then you have a ceremonial mayor. In the city of Newburgh, I'm the ceremonial mayor, meaning that I'm in charge of all the ceremonial activities that go on in the city of Newburgh. That's number one. Marriages, ceremonial events, celebrations, ribbon cuttings, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm also the chairman of the city council in the city of Newburgh.
Can you break that down to them?
Right. That means that all the city council meetings, I chair those meetings. I'm the chairman of the board, right? It's like having a board of trustees in your church or having a board of trustees in your college or university. And every board has a chairman of the board,
Okay.
right? Just like a corporation. If you go to the Nike Corporation, they have board meetings.
Yes.
If you go to, Bank of America, your bank, they have a board of directors. And every board has a chairperson. In our city, I'm the chairman of the city council board.
Yes.
The city is a corporation, just like Bank of America is a corporation, just like Nike is a corporation, just like Madison Square Garden is a corporation that owns the Knicks and the New York Rangers. So all these are corporate structures. Morehouse College has a board of trustees. Baptist Temple Church has a board of trustees. Abyssinian Baptist Church, or some of your bigger churches, I don't know, the Potter House Church.
So
that
you really saying that you ahead of it, but if you bring something to the table, just say a law or a policy, you could bring it to the table and they have to be voted on, even though you agree with it, but and the majority don't agree with you, it's not going to get passed, right?
Correct. So there's 6 other members on our city council. I'm number 7. I am a part of the executive team, and so that's why my office is in the executive suite. But I'm also the chairman of the council, so I'm a voting member on the city council in our city, and I can write resolutions and or legislation or city ordinances that govern our city. So that's the difference between the mayor in Newburgh versus the mayor in New York City. The mayor in New York City is a strong mayoral system, and the mayor in New York City, like Atlanta, like Chicago, like Los Angeles, and other cities, that mayor is in charge of all the departments. That mayor says yes or no to all those that get hired and all those that possibly can get fired. Whereas in the city of Newburgh, because it's a small city and it's easy to have corruption,
yes,
they keep the mayor position a part of the city council. Now, the city manager is the point of authority to hire and fire all personnel that work for the city. That's the city manager's role. And the city manager manages the city. Now, the government works at its best when the city manager and the mayor are all on one page. Right. So the mayor is part of the executive team, and the mayor is a part of decisions, but the city manager makes the day-to-day decisions, and the mayor can have some influence on that. And that's especially if the mayor and the city manager get along, So when it comes to hiring people, the city manager does that. When it comes to staffing, it doesn't matter what department, the police department, the fire department, DPW, which is Department of Works, sanitation, water department, engineers department, the planning department, all those personnel members, especially the leadership in those personnel teams, they all answer to the city manager directly. It doesn't mean they can't respect and discuss matters with the mayor. It just means that their direct chain of command or direct point of authority is the city manager. And so there have been times in history of our city government where mayor and the city manager didn't get along. And then there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of drama, and things don't move the way they are supposed to move for the people. Because we're here for the people, by the people, and of the people. We are of the people. We are part of the community. So yeah, so
And we
that's
are the bosses. So y'all working for us.
we
You know.
work for the public. Yes, we work for the residents in this city who voted us in, and so the city manager serves at the will of the city council. So there's 7 voting members on the city council that we have in the city of Newburgh. Therefore, he serves at the will of the council. So if 5 people or 4 people, which is the majority, 4 people want certain things to happen, the city manager is supposed to make it happen.
And
If
also,
not, mhm.
I'm glad you're breaking that down too, because a lot of people don't understand that. They figure the mayor, the mayor, the mayor. You was more like the face, but the city manager really had the pull and the authority to do everything. But they think
Right.
because you're the mayor, they don't understand the position of the city manager. They don't understand that he the one get the approval of the business coming in. With the zoning and break it down with different boards too. We have too that who approve individuals to be elected on different boards they have, like the plan development.
Some boards, like the zoning board, the planning board, the housing authority board. Those boards are 3 examples. They are appointed directly by the city manager.
Mhm.
Now there are a few boards that we appoint, right? Like the Civil Service Commission, the
Yes.
city council. We vote on that. Like for instance, the Police Community Review Relations Board. We vote on that. We appoint members to that board. I created, since I've been the mayor, because it didn't exist before my term, my time on the city council as the mayor. I created the Mayor's Strategic Economic and Development Committee. All right, the Mayor's Strategic Economic, we call CDAC. The Mayor's Strategic Economic and Development Committee is appointed directly by the mayor, and of course, in collaboration with the city council. But I am the point of authority on the members on that board, right? I created that board, and the purpose of that board is to work with the planning department and the director of planning so that the large public land that the city owns, gets to be worked on, RFP, which is request for proposal, and voted on to see who will develop or what project is best to develop on those city-owned properties that come through that board, so that the city council can make a final decision on those development deals. And these are large development deals, right? They work through the Mayor's Strategic Economic and Development Board or Committee, so that we have, stakeholders, residents, business owners, non-residents who have are stakeholders in the city, who either own businesses or property. They are a part of that board so that they can do the vetting of these big, large, multi-million dollar corporations or developers who want to develop large projects in our city. And so I create that board. So I'm the direct point of authority on who gets on that board and who doesn't. And we work with the legal team and the city council, obviously, to make sure that the rules and regulations and protocols and procedures and how they function and how they, write up the RFPs and how they, make recommendations to the city council, and the city council also ultimately decides and votes on who or what large development companies will get approved for these large development projects. And that's a very important board. And so I created that because, when it was just all left up to the city council, people thought it was political and that corruption was involved with these large development deals. And council members got verbally abused and all this kind of stuff, including the mayor. And so with this group, this non-biased group of stakeholders. They do all the vetting for these large development deals, and they make a recommendation to me and the council, and we ultimately vote on those, the conveyance of those projects and those deals and that land. And then that's how large development happens in our city. So that was a very important board that I created, and it's functioning at the fullest capacity, and it's great. So yeah, so certain boards, to answer your question, Sheila
How many,
E.
how
What's
many
that?
members on that board?
So initially it was 7 members on that, the Mayor's Strategic Economic and Development Board, but we just changed the rules and protocols and procedures, and we bumped it up to 10. We just had I just appointed 3 new members, so there's
Okay.
10, and then we're looking to create 3 or 4 alternates, because sometimes the stakeholders that serve on the Mayor's Strategic Economic and Development Board, sometimes they have conflicting interests and they have to recuse themselves
Yes.
from a vote. Yeah, and so to keep it honest and to keep it transparent and
Yes.
clean, if they have, because they're business owners, right? Some of
Mhm.
them are business owners. Some of them are just simple residents. Some of them are non-residents but own buildings and they're landlords. So these individuals are stakeholders in our city, and there's a certain amount of them that have to be residents, certain amount of them that could be business owners and non-residents, and so et cetera, or landlords. And so when you
Okay.
have that mix and that diversity, because it has to be African American, white, Hispanic, Asian American. We have a very well diverse group of all different economic and social economic and intellectual levels. And when it's diverse like that, you get the most productivity. You get the best, because they debate among themselves and they fight whether it's going to be affordable housing with these large developments or there's
And
going to be mixed income housing, etc.
excuse me, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. You said affordable housing. I
Yeah.
love when people say that. And I want to say good morning to everyone coming in. I don't have my glasses, but thank y'all for coming to Penthouse. I love when people say affordable housing, because what may be affordable to me may not be affordable to you. So now,
Right.
are they building affordable housing, or are they building because I heard that a lot of developments coming in the inner city now that half of the residents there can't afford the rent. And
Right.
that's
So
this city is like a lot of cities.
right. So what happens, Sheila, and that's a great question. What's affordable to one person might not be affordable to another. So what the government creates is what they call AMIs, right? An AMI is the average median income
Mm-hmm.
of a geographic locale, right? And these are the technical elements in city government that many people don't know about, right? Because I've taught it. I've taught this will be my 24th school year in September. Because I've taught government, I'm very much aware of HUD, the housing authority, at the federal level. I'm aware of, the federal regulations and state regulations and local regulations, because I've taught it for over 20 years. And so they have what they call AMIs, the average
Mm-hmm.
median income. And the AMI for the city of Newburgh is very low compared to the AMI for the county, Orange County,
So what
right?
is the AMI for the city of Newburgh?
To tell
Because for
you
who
the
don't,
average median income for the city of Newburgh is roughly about $32,000 a year. But when you go to the county, where it includes all the other municipalities like the town of Newburgh, the town of New Windsor, Cornwall, the village, Cornwall, the town, I don't know, Port Jervis, Pine Bush, right? So when you go out, right,
yeah,
Middletown, when you go
yeah.
out to the county, the AMI is like $80,000 a year, roughly,
And,
and I'm estimating. But in the
and
city of Newburgh, it's like 32 to 34,000.
that's still and realistic. That's still low. That's still low. And
It is
talking about for now, one bedroom is like 1,500 now.
$1,700. Yeah,
So,
So the way these deals are, right, but the way these deals are brokered, Sheila, is they're not based on the city AMIs. They're based on the county's AMI because the county's AMI is higher, and therefore these developers and these landlords can charge higher rents based on the county AMI versus the city AMI.
and that's why I tell a lot of people, start going to those county meetings.
Yes.
Start going to those county meetings. That's why. Okay, and I'm Kevin too. I interview him too a lot too. Start going to county meetings because a lot of things is being passed, is being done that y'all seen us. Now we're gonna complain about the rent, but before they even pass that, before they even start that, let your voice be heard at the meetings. See, you don't want to wait till it's already done. When they start planning these things, you want to be right there at the meetings,
Right, because a lot of people, they don't even know when the county meetings are.
But you could Google it.
They don't know. Yeah, you could Google that stuff. But yeah, and they don't know who their county legislatures are. The legislators that are for the city of Newburgh, Genesis Ramos and Kevin Darian Lujan. Depending on what part of the city of Newburgh you live in. I talk to those guys all the time. I talk to Genesis on a regular basis. I talked to Kevin Darian. He and I talked the other night because we're talking about looking at what we need to do to organize vaccine pop-ups for the monkeypox, because now as far as we know, monkeypox. We have one case in Orange County thus far. It's not in the city of Newburgh, but if this thing continues to spread from New York City up to Orange County and to the city of Newburgh, we're back into a healthcare crisis, as it were, for the COVID-19. So I talk to the county elected officials all the time. I speak to the county executive and who is Steve Newhouse. A lot of our residents don't know who these people are, and it's unfortunate because, again, it's about public service to the residents, service to those who are taxpayers and or residents who live in our city and in our county, and they don't even know who elected officials are.
I want to ask you a question because since we broke up in wars, and I was telling them to say no, but the yes outweigh the no's. Now is wars,
Right.
And a lot of them don't even know what war it is, and they don't know who represent them in a war.
Good point.
And then also when it comes to the budget, now let's break the budget down. Okay. How much did the city of Newburgh get this year?
What do you mean? How much is in our budget, or how much did we receive?
How much y'all received?
Oh man, we received almost $22 million from the American Rescue Act. So that was 22 million. We also, and these are grants, right? I mean, we get grants all the time. So I would say we received anywhere between $40 to $60 million in grants. And I don't have a grand total of all the grants because there's grants that we get from HUD, for the CDGB funds. We got grants from the American Rescue Act, which went directly into our coffers, 21.8 million. What's that?
The Planned Development Department too. See, a lot of people understand that through crime, through drugs, murder, and all that.
Right.
When you in a city, they get grants for that. They get money for that. And
so you got for profits that receive their own grants, and I write a lot of letters. I write hundreds of letters of support for the non-for-profits who are seeking grant funds from the federal and state government. Like, for instance, I just wrote a letter for Lisa Silverstone and her crew at Safe Harbors. I every year write grants for the urban farm. Write letters of support for grants for the urban farm, letters of support for the CAC, which is the Conservation Advisory Committee, which is the organization that want to keep the city green with trees and green spaces, right? That's the CAC, right? So I write support letters for a lot of entities. Repco, which is one of the largest developers out of Kingston that are developing, multiple apartments, affordable mixed income housing apartments, and some of them are going to be rent to own this time. With Repco and what
Yeah,
they're doing.
you say that because they supposed to have did that on Lander Street, and they never did that. That was
Yeah.
they supposed to did that years ago, but they
Well,
didn't do
there's some
that.
properties on Lander Street right now that they're just finishing up. We just had a tour 3 weeks ago of the Lander Street apartments, and some of those spaces are going to be rent to own
Mhm.
for
And
sure. No doubt. Kevin O'Connor and his team and I work all the time. And then you got Youth Build, right? You got Melanie Collins and the Link organization that are associated with Rupco, and they got a $1 million youth build grant that they're working right now for the young people with,
that's good.
with skills, real skills, and stuff like that.
It's a lot of stuff and a lot of grants and a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people don't know. That's why I like to interview you on Facebook
Um,
family. And I'm saying a lot of people do a lot of talking, but he here, and we're just gonna open up the panel. So if y'all have any questions or anything or
but
whatever.
Sheila, let me say one other thing about Repco. When we went on that Repco tour, which was
Mhm.
actually June 29th, 12 new structures in the East Historic End, and they
Mhm.
have 12 existing structures, 22 residential, all in the East Historic End, mixed income housing, 70% homeless to 70%, right? So they provide living space for you know homeless and 70% AMIs, rent 30% of their income. So a lot of the Repco apartments, if they're only gonna, whatever your income is, your annual income is, they only get 30% of that,
That's
right?
good.
And then there's some people who are going to be who are in those apartments, the 2-bedroom apartments with ESI, we call ESI. ESI is the Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, where 10 apartments are funded by the state government for the homeless, for the formerly incarcerated, and for those who suffer from substance abuse, right? So it's called ESI, Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, and that's a state organization. My wife didn't even know about it until I schooled her about it. And it's like, how some people are on Section 8
Mhm.
housing. That's federal. Section 8 housing is federal. But ESSI, the Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, is a state program for people who are in prison, formerly incarcerated, people who are homeless or about to be homeless, and those who are who suffer from substance abuse matters or mental health issues. They qualify for ESSI, Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative. And those are the type of programs, Sheila, people don't know about. Those are the type of things that I'm working on with our city council and our executive staff behind the scenes.
Thank
Behind
you.
the scenes, I'm working on that. And then people want to hate and say, oh, brothers that are educated lames and all that kind of stuff. Nah, brothers that are educated are got real boots on the ground, working really, really hard for those who are marginalized and who have been ignored for decades in this city.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You
And
know what I'm
help.
saying?
And I love your heart. And one thing about you, you're humble. You
Yeah.
have a heart for people. You
Oh,
really do.
absolutely.
Um,
You know how many years I had to work, Sheila, with the Newburgh Ministry, Colin Jarvis. It took us 2 years,
hmm,
2 years at the architect and review board for him to get approval to do the buildings that he's getting ready to construct. He had the funding for it because we have one lot on the south side of the Newburgh Ministry that
yeah,
they own, and then the north lot the city owns, and we're in a site agreement with Colin Jarvis and Newburgh Ministry, so he could triple his capacity for the homeless. You and I were talking about the homeless people at McDonald's a little while ago. He has an opportunity to triple his capacity at the Newburgh ministry, and it took he and I and his executive staff and our council members 2 years to go and support what he's trying to do in front of the architect and review committee, what we call the ARC board, because they want to preserve and protect the historical renderings and the historical elements in the city, which we respect. But it took 2 years for us to lobby and try to get him approval through the ARC board with his architects so that he could start constructing these two buildings to triple his capacity for the homeless.
And you know what? And we have a sister here. She one of my mom's watermelon sugar, and it's on my community tab, and I have her
Okay.
information and also her cash app. And she had to move out her apartment ASAP. Not nothing she did. She's a working mother. She has 6 children. And I was saying, wow, if she lived up here, upstate New York, they will put mama in a house, get her a furniture voucher and everything. And see, every state is not like upstate New York.
That's right.
Not like that. And one thing they could say what they want to say about Newburgh. But one thing I could say, that the homeless, you don't have to be homeless. You don't have to go without eating.
Right.
Clothes, everything. Everything you need, even down to our youth. They still have basketball, football, soccer, baseball, all that, flag ball, everything. We still had that when we was a kid, had it going on now. And that's a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
Most states.
That's one thing I want to say, Sheila. The city of Newburgh is gritty, right? It's a gritty city, which means that it's a tough city. No one ever can deny that. But the people here love hard, and they will come together in unity and support whatever it is. Like you said, Sheila, if food is an issue, if housing is an issue, there are people here to help and assist, and they really love to help in this city. And that's why I love this city too. Even though I get the heat. I get the heat from
talk about smear. And also I want you to break down about the fire. You're gonna get your name smeared on. They're gonna talk about you. That's what they do. They talk, like I said, they talk about Jesus Christ. What make you think they ain't gonna talk about us? They talked about me holding the police officer, the police station hostage, city hall, whatever, before you came in off. All the stuff I was doing, it was crazy. But now they understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They understand. Just holding people accountable,
Right. And that's it. All we're trying to do is hold people accountable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then they talk about, we got all this money, whatever. They don't even know the budget. That side, the police department, the fire department, which for years were getting half of the budget from the city of Newburgh.
55%. 55% of the city budget, which is $70 million a year, go to police and fire.
And why was that? Why was that?
It's because, first of all, public safety is our number one priority. Let me get that clear, because we do believe in public safety for everyone. And number two is because of the overtime. The overtime in the police and fire departments have been out of control for over 50 or more years. Mm-hmm. And we got a city manager and a city council that are probably the most intellectual individuals that I've ever encountered in my 50 years of life. So we said, we gotta figure this out. And we have figured it out. I asked for an audit a year ago. I asked for an audit in 2020 for 2021. We got our audit from O'Connor Davies, and they had a list of recommendations. And this city manager has the courage and the gumption, along with the council, to move on those recommendations. The city manager has implemented a personnel strategy where both police and fire will minimize or at least decrease the overtime in both departments. And in the fire department alone, for the first 6 months of 2022, almost $500,000 has been saved in overtime. And
That's a
that's
lot.
why $500,000 in 6 months.
That's a lot. That's a
Show me
lot.
a council that did that. Show me a city manager working with a city council that did that. You show me. And they say, oh,
The last
it's
decade, I never seen nothing like that. And I
you ain't
was
never
going
seen that.
the meeting faithfully and ran for office. So no.
Right. So out of $1.8 million in the fire department, okay, $500,000 in 6 months has been saved. And then if you look at the second half of the 6 months, which is from July to December, if you save $500,000, that's almost $1 million. And that $1 million can be reallocated to youth programs. That $1 million can be reallocated to the parks or to paving and milling and paving roads. That $1 million can be reallocated to services to the public. So it's not to say that police and fire will not earn overtime. They will continue to earn overtime, but in a responsible way. You got firefighters who are doubling their salaries, almost tripling their salaries because of overtime. So, and then, you got people with their fear-mongering tactics saying, oh, this fire happened and this person passed away because we're understaffed. No, it's not that you're understaffed, because each fire team has 10 people.
Yes,
and
I hear you.
On June 15th, 3 firefighters called out that day. Nobody's saying nothing about that. Who were the 3 individuals that called out? That put them to a 7-man team. All right. You got 10 people on each team. So there seems to be, and there appears to be, a coordinated effort for 3 people to call out every shift for the fire department. That's what it appears to be, according to O'Connor Davies and their audit. Okay. And it's a coordinated effort. If 3 people call out, that puts you to the 7. They didn't start at 7 people on that shift. They started with 10. 10 people to the shift. If everybody showed up to work, you'd have 10 firefighters on each shift. And they have 24-hour shifts, because they have 24-hour rotating shifts. And a firefighter works 1 day and 3 days off. Firefighter works 8 days in a month. Many of our firefighters have other jobs or other businesses, because they work 1 day and they got 3 days off. They work another day, they got another 3 days off, because they work 24 hours, right? Which means that they work 8 days in 1 month. 8 days in 1 month. Okay. Now, we found out through our, communications. I got a lot of letters from volunteer firefighters, because the president of the fire union said, oh, volunteerism doesn't work. We need more firefighters. Well, we said, when we had the SAFER grant that gave us 9 extra firefighters from federal funds, you guys still didn't trend down the overtime. You actually increased the overtime. You didn't trend it down when you had 9 extra firefighters funded by the federal government in a SAFER grant. Okay. You had 9 firefighters extra. And that's before the 2020 layoffs. So we did not see the numbers, because we have 10 and 20-year data sheets. And we look at the data, and the men lie, women lie. The numbers don't lie. The data tells us what happened.
Behind the numbers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? The numbers don't lie. So we look at the 10-year data sheets. We look at the 20-year data sheets, Sheila. And that's when we had like 80 firefighters instead of 60. We had like 83 firefighters, still over $1 million in overtime every year. 1.1 million, 1.3 million, 1.5 million. When you had 83 firefighters.
So this been going on for years, mismanaging funds.
It's been going on. And you didn't have a city manager and a city council to coordinate with the city manager, because the city manager makes the decision. They make the ultimate decision on all personnel matters. So the city manager in the past with the council have never had never, you know, trailed down the overtime, was never able to get a grip on this overtime until now. And that's why you see all the social media bullying. That's why you see all the lies about who's responsible for someone dying in a burning house because, you know, that fire.
Social media.
Huh?
They're bullying people on social media concerning that
Yeah,
fire.
they're using social media and also the real media, certain news reporters, they use them and manipulate them to create a narrative that's a false narrative. And they know when you look at the fire report, the fire that happened on June 15th on Lander Street, that grease fire was extinguished with water that made that fire spread rapidly. And then the individuals that escaped the fire left the doors open, which meant that oxygen got into that grease fire to make it spread even more rapidly. And there were other situations and circumstances that prevented the firefighters to save that individual person's life. It had nothing to do with how many firefighters were on. You had 40 firefighters at that fire. All right, within minutes. Now you had 3 firefighters and an assistant chief at that fire in 60 seconds. 3 firefighters and an assistant chief can't save one person from a fire, and they were there in 60 seconds. They were there in 60 seconds after the 911 call. But from what we were told and what was in the fire report, the 911 call was delayed. The person that ran out of the house was so terrified and afraid that that individual didn't call 911 right away. That's what the fire report tells us. So that also is the reason why, you know, there was a loss of life, and God rest in peace to the family and to the person that lost their life. My condolences, and I will always say my condolences, because no one wants a loss of life in this city. No one. Not me, not anyone on the council. But for someone to say it's the mayor's fault or the council's fault or you guys got blood on your hands while you're at the fire, you say that kind of stuff while you're at the fire? And you're a city employee? That's disrespectful and it's unethical. And certain individuals that came to that city council meeting and said those were escorted out by the police, and then, you know, there were some other, you know, things that had to happen after that.
And that's people don't understand. See, city council meetings get heated. That some had to escort out by the police. You know. And
if you're escorted out by the police and you're an employee of the city,
yes,
unacceptable, unprofessional, and unacceptable. And it's not going to happen, Sheila, while I'm sitting there. That's not happening. You're not going to disrespect me, the city council, and the city executive staff, and you're an employee of the city. First of all, if you're just a regular person, you're not going to come up in there disrespectfully, or you're going to get, you know, PD's going to put their hands on you, get you up out of there. That's what's going to happen if you do that and you're just a regular person. But if you do that and you're a city employee,
that's
no, it's unacceptable.
And I'm saying, before you even got in that seat, we used to have some real grimy city. I remember I hold them hostages. We used to close the door, meet James and all of us or whatever, you know. And it wasn't just doing it because they were doing just little wicked stuff, giving contractors to people from Connecticut, from Jersey, and they wouldn't give them to the youth, the black youth, you know, any youth in the city of Newburgh. So what we did, we hold hostages and had her sign a contract saying that she would allow them to get the jobs. And it's sad when you get to the point that you had to hold your whole city council member, you know, hostages. over them doing stuff that the money supposed to come for the city, the revenue, but yet you giving it to another city in another state. So the end of the day is that's why I don't have to hold you accountable and different ones in that seat, because I know y'all doing what y'all supposed to do.
Right.
When I do have to say something, I get off a line, I go there and make my voice be heard. And a lot of people not doing that. And they're blaming you for the fire, but they don't even know the story behind it. They don't even know the details behind what's going on.
That's right. Right. And all they got to do is look for the fire report. It's public information.
And then even when it comes to different business and stuff like that, it's up to you to come to the city council, make a PowerPoint, make different things. If you see a building you want, and you inquire about and you want to have your business there, I mean, everything you need is right there.
That's right.
Online and right there. Just, the end of the day is, if you want something and you determined to make it there, you can make it there. You can. Because look at my nephew, a lot of things he had to go through. He didn't want to leave his city, always giving back free haircuts. And I thank God for you too, the ribbon cut and different his second barbershop. He had to move right by City Hall because even his own people was spray painting his barbershop and stuff. And every year he give out free haircuts twice a year, Toys for Tots and stuff like that.
That's right.
He would cut you don't have, and other guys there with him. So at the end of the day is, we have to start holding one another accountable. We do. Right. And I think we don't to a certain extent. We can't go by that, the low income or they don't have no money, because the end of the day is I fight for the ones to make sure that you don't get put out your apartment. Make sure that and you coming home for a facility, you have everything you need. And then what you doing with the grant and stuff, is no need for you to live in the city of Newburgh and not to have a roof over your head, clothes on your head. And we even had the pantry still feeding people. 3 meals. Yeah. So, and all the churches still, they giving out, I didn't know they be giving out steak and shrimps and lobsters and ground beef and bread and milk and juices. And where they do that at? Right.
That's a fact.
When I was growing up, what they had, the cheese, the peanut butter, the rice, and all that stuff. They don't upgrade now.
Yeah, it's true, Sheila.
You go to one church, then you go to the other church. Because remember, they're all different days. So then you got the individual who have food stamps. And then if they sell their food stamps, okay, let's keep it real. Some of them sell their food stamps for drugs or whatever reason. They go to the church and stuff, and they're going to supply them for a whole month of food for their children. So that's a blessing.
That's a fact.
I love my city. I really do. I advocate for everything too. But at the end of the day is let's start opening up our eyes. We gifted. Remember all those young people y'all had at the Army had their own business. Our young babies. Even she make her own soap, detergent, shampoo, lotion. My cousin John Border and Sons. So at the end of the day is stuff. It's like, come on, if y'all really want it, and I'm talking to my Facebook family out there, if y'all really want it, we have a mayor here, and he really down to earth. He practice what he preach. He don't just say he do it. We had city council members, Omari and different ones really fighting. So at the end of the day, is no need for us to be in the situation we in. There's shooting going up. So come on. This ain't just city, it's every city. And it's sad. Right. You wonder why people move. They don't want to move out the city. They want to build. But who want to build business that every time they build, there's somebody going to rob it or shoot it up?
That's a fact.
Or you got people who come into my nephew business. They're not from the area. They're coming from West Point. They're coming from the Army and stuff or whatever.
Yep.
Where everywhere they're safe at.
That's right.
It's very sad. It's time to wake up. Y'all always want to say the mayor, he ain't doing this. Oh, I ain't voting for this one. I ain't voting for that one. They're doing what they're doing. They see the problem. They're trying to deal with the solution. He only one person. He could have a good policy, a platform. But at the end of the day, if the other ones don't agree with his platform and the law he's trying to make is not going to pass, that's when you
That's
need
right.
to come, your voice be heard.
It took me, Sheila, it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years to convince the majority of the city council to have a police commissioner. And that is a fact. All right. Karen Mejia was a council member at the time. She and I were the only ones initially. When I did the research and worked with the civil service executive, Michelle Mills, that we can reinstate a police commissioner, and that the police commissioner would, come in and clean up the police department, right? We hadn't had a police commissioner in the city of Newburgh since 1982. You could do the research. These are facts.
I interviewed him here at the penthouse.
Jose Gomez. It took me 2 years. 2 years. The council didn't believe it. Now, look what the police department is doing. They're doing great stuff. They got foot patrols. They're part of the Clean Streets Initiative program. They're doing barbecues. They barbecue burgers every time we have our summer movie nights with the planning department on Liberty Street, where the kids and families come out and eat, watch a movie and get popcorn, and then they do burgers and hot dogs for everybody for free. The police department, the commissioner, and the police chief, Gomez and Gerasi. These dudes, we did barbecues on South Street. We was on South Street. We was barbecuing, cooking food for everybody. And my man from Black Vanilla, Gerard, he came out because he got food donated from Handsome Devil. Oh man, that brisket went so fast. That brisket went so fast, and the collard greens and the macaroni and cheese and all that stuff, and the ribs that Gerard from Black Vanilla got donated from Handsome Devil. Shout out to Ed and his wife. And so we a lot of positive things happening with police department right now, because we got a police commissioner and a new police chief, and they're doing great work. Now we're looking at possibly doing a fire commissioner. So.
Okay. I just and I'm I don't know. I'm gonna open up the panel if anybody have any question to ask you. And one of my did want to ask, how do you tolerate being into dirty politics as a mayor?
It's dirty. It's tough. The only way you can tolerate that is, number one, stay clean. Be honest, stay clean, live a clean life. My mother always used to tell me, if you walking straight, can't nobody ride your back. But as soon as you get involved with the dirt and you start doing dirty things, now you're the most vulnerable when it comes to dirty politics. But because I live a clean life, man, my wife and I have been married 22 years. I have 3 beautiful children. My children are young adults. My baby girl is 18. My middle guy is 20, and my oldest is 28. He about to be 29. I raise my kids. I pray. I'm a man of God. And that's how you deal with dirty politics. Just walk straight. If you walk straight, can't nobody ride your back with the dirt. You know what I'm saying? Because they throw dirt at me. People throw dirt at me all the time. They say little rumors here and there about Mr. Harvey. I'm an educator. I write books. You know what I'm saying? www.torranceharvey.com.
That's right. I forgot your book. That's Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble, Amazon. You can get it online. And Sheila, people was clapping at me because I did a book signing at Barnes and Noble's in the town of Newburgh for Juneteenth. The people at Barnes and Noble's town of Newburgh invited me and 2 other people of color. It was an African-American woman and a Hispanic brother. It was supposed
Uh-huh.
to be two blacks and two Hispanics, but one of the Hispanic authors backed out. So
Uh-huh.
it was two African American, me and a woman, and then it was a Hispanic brother. We all are local authors, and they wanted us to do a book signing for Juneteenth on June 19th, which was a Sunday, which was Father's Day.
Mhm.
So my man from Cream, we had a big Juneteenth celebration at Downey Park. I donated funds from my mayoral funds to that event because it's a historical event, and several council members donated funds for the bouncy houses and the food or whatever. We were able to support Cream at during Juneteenth second year. He did it at Downey Park. It was a success. I was there for part of the day, and then I had to go to Barnes and Nobles, and I took pictures with my students. My high school students showed up deep. They showed up like 25, 30 students showed up for
Yeah,
my
students,
book signing.
they really love you. And I want to say
Yeah,
her and Shelly and everybody, because let me tell you something. My niece was your student, and she said one thing she loved about you. She said you was an excellent teacher and you had a lot of patience, even with the students, because she's like an A student. Even with the students wasn't grasp on, she said you was still had them anticipate like they was really getting it. And you would do it in a way that your teaching that she said that it was different than any other teacher she had in history. And she's to
wow.
this day she said he's a good dude. And she said now he's my mayor. I mean, yeah, your students really love you. So in order for you to have a good reputation like that, you have to be a good teacher. And see,
Yeah.
anybody can teach, but when you love what you do, you have a good reputation. Because one thing about those kids, they will burn you up. Those high school kids too,
Oh yeah, they'll burn you up if you ain't right.
you will
That's
talk
a
about
fact. They'll
that.
talk about you. If you're a whack teacher, if you're not really, getting through to the students and they're not really learning, they will let you know. Straight up.
Mhm.
No sub, they will. So no what do kids call it? They call it oh man, what's the word they say when you no when you're lying? No cap. No cap. And you know, if you're not a good teacher, they'll let you know,
Yeah.
and if you don't prove your skills, everybody will know. And so I love my students, I love their families, and I love what I do. 24 years doing it, and I'm still doing it. And this is what I was gonna say, Sheila. You
Mhm.
had people clapping at me because I was promoting books. I'm
Wow.
now I'm selling literacy. I'm writing poetry, my own books, which I put my money on the table to get these books, printed, right?
Mhm.
I'm investing in my own writing so that I can educate others through literacy and through poetry and analytical thinking and critical thinking skills, which are all important for no matter what job you do in the future. Your critical thinking skills and your analytical thinking skills, which if reading, analyzing poetry is a way to do that to increase your analytical thinking skills.
Yeah.
And reading is literacy in general, right? So I'm selling books, and people are trying to clap at me because I'm the mayor. Like mayors don't supposed to write books and sell books. This is how small-minded some people are. But then you got dudes out here selling drugs and dudes out here selling poison, and then nobody ain't saying nothing about that on Facebook. But then they hop on Facebook and clap at me for selling literacy, for
Yeah.
selling education. Can you believe that? A
I
black man
believe it.
a black man selling books, and you got something to say about that. In my own time, these are my books that I wrote, that I paid for to get printed and published, that are in Barnes and Nobles on all
Mhm.
digital platforms. Instead of celebrating that black excellence, you're gonna clap at me because I'm promoting books when you got dudes out here selling poison.
I'm gonna promote your book. I definitely am gonna promote your book here. And matter of fact, I
You
did.
see what I'm saying, Sheila?
Wow, I didn't know. I thought.
Obama wrote two books. Obama wrote two books when he was the president. But you're gonna
Yeah.
say, "Oh, the mayor's promoting books." Yo, there was this dude in our community. He was clapping at Councilman Grice because Councilman Grice was promoting um, the cakes and the bakery foods that his wife has You know,
Hold on.
she makes.
The piano's open.
Uh,
Ron, your device is not connecting. So I got
who's
keys to.
that?
Go ahead, Harvey. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Councilman Grice was talking about his wife's business, but he didn't say her name.
Mhm.
A few days ago during the week, and he was promoting all the bakery stuff that she do and she sells in her private owned business that's incorporated, right? But he didn't say it was sweets, something sweets. I forget, delicious sweets or something like that is the name of the company. So he was promoting his wife's company, but he didn't say her name. And it was on his own time. It was on his own personal media, social media. It wasn't on his government social media site. It was on his personal page. And this dude was clapping at him for like an hour in the comments. You're a councilman, you're an elected official, you shouldn't be promoting your wife's business on his own time, on
Wow.
his private personal social media page. And then he brought the mayor into it. This is
Wow.
what this is what I was told by the councilman. He
Well, I
said,
had,
"Oh, you got
hold
the
on.
mayor selling books."
Your book. What is the title of your book? But he gonna come back next time, and I'm definitely gonna promote his book.
Yeah, America, America, Torrance Harvey.
You have it
And
on
then
so we could
yeah,
see it.
yeah, yeah. Let me grab it. Let me grab it. I'll show it to you. Hold on.
Okay.
Pretty interesting so far. Good man, and he got a good spirit.
And I want to thank everybody coming in. Like I said, the panel's open because my mayor, he real like that. So, I see Rhonda trying to come on, but her device is not connecting. But Rhonda, keep on trying, and because I know Rhonda would like to ask some questions, and Keith, I know you're gonna ask him some questions. So
Only just a couple of questions I'm going to ask.
Here they are. America, America, right? Which speaks to the social justice movement after the George Floyd killing, right? America, America. It's a book of poetry speaking to the social justice movement in America about race, multiculturalism, and why we got to keep talking about race relations in America so that we can heal and we can move together, move forward together. That's what America, America is, right? Hardcover, book of poems, and then my first book was Yasan Kofa after doing a lot of genealogy research on my ancestral roots that go back to the African continent. And I wrote a series of poems from the urban experience and growing up in the urban cities of Newburgh and Poughkeepsie. And so that was Yasan Kofa, right?
okay,
And then America, America. And so I'm promoting books, and then you got people of color clapping at me because I'm the mayor of the city, an elected official, promoting literacy and books on my own time. And I got invited to a Juneteenth book signing at Barnes and Nobles in the town of Newburgh, which is the town, not the city. They invited me to do a book signing and reading. And I took pictures with my high school students, which like 30 students came out.
mm-hmm.
And we had a great experience. They took photos and they took pictures with my books. And you had people in the Black and Hispanic community in our city clapping at me because I'm promoting books after we had a fire which had one fatality, and I extended my condolences for that. But just because the fire happened on Wednesday and Juneteenth was Sunday, which was Father's Day, June 19th was Juneteenth, and I'm doing a book signing, and people like clapping at me for selling literacy, and I'm like, you got people on the street corner selling poison, selling drugs to our own people, and nobody's saying nothing about that.
Right.
That's a fact.
Right.
That's a fact. And you know what's another fact about this? We won't invest in each other, but we are putting invest into murdering each other. We'll put investment into the guns and to do hits on each other.
Exactly. We killing each other. And one of my poems is 55 gunshots made my city blocks hot. 55 gunshots made the city blocks hot in Newburgh during the pandemic. In 2020, self-quarantine. In the quarantine, we had 55 gunshots that made our city blocks hot. And that's one of the poems in America, America. So I'm speaking about.
I gotta read that book because I'm in a city where where homicide rates high, more higher than New York's, more higher than LA's put together right now.
Exactly.
I'm in a city right now where It's about to be 400 murders by like next month.
All right, what city's that?
Philadelphia.
See? See? We get that. And we had our first homicide. We had our first homicide, not to promote gun violence and not to celebrate this, but we had one homicide, the first homicide in the city of Newburgh, this just 2 nights ago. All right. That's the first homicide. In 2021, we had one homicide by gun violence. Now you had a homicide, which was a child neglect case in 2021 for the city of Newburgh, but we had one homicide in 2021 because of gun violence. And
right.
Yo, that's a miracle for Newburgh.
Yeah.
That's a miracle. But nobody
I'm gonna
wrote
let you
about
know. And I'm gonna let you know another city has went down on its gun violence too. Now like state police, Pennsylvania State Police over it. Chester, Pennsylvania went down on its violence too. They have a very big increase on homicide.
Right. We had Senator Chuck Schumer.
You can look that up.
All right. I'm gonna definitely look that up.
Look up Chester, Pennsylvania. They went down.
I have family in Chester. My cousins live in Chester.
You got cousins live down there? We'll talk behind the scenes.
What's that?
Rhonda here. Rhonda, would you anything?
That's something I have to talk about. That's something I have to talk with you behind the scenes, because not everything's for everybody when it comes to there. You know what it is.
Fact. Absolutely. So what I'm saying is, when we talk about the social justice movement, the Black community especially, brothers are turning guns on brothers, and I'm always trying to be a positive voice in my community here as the mayor, even as an educator. I'm always trying to be a positive voice for I spoke 2 hours to a brother who's a former student of mine. He's in the film industry, working with Spike Lee and all these guys. And he and I talked about how we can do a seminar for young people with regard to employment, like a jobs fair, and letting them know it's not shameful to work for McDonald's if that's what you got to do for now.
That's right.
That's right.
It's not shameful to work for Burger King or, whatever, until you get to the level where you can work at a higher level or a better job, making better money. And I told him, I said, the key is slow money is good money.
Right.
And good money.
Another thing you should teach them too. Teach them the technology on these phones.
And starting that piece, she started.
Teach them all the tech. Teach them the crypto. Teach them where the financial system is going, and teach them what's going to be happening in the next 5 or 10 years, so we could be on top of the game.
Okay, we say something. She's been waiting patiently.
Okay, let her go. Yeah.
Just a minute, Sheila. Just a minute.
Okay. Yeah, because I know she wanted to ask the mayor something. But I want to thank you again for coming to the penthouse.
My pleasure.
Like I said, a lot of people, we always open up the floor, the panel. Nobody never asks some questions. These questions you can also use in your town, your city, wherever you at, right, Harvey?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
There's nothing new under the sun. It's all the same elements,
Okay. We have Rhonda. Go ahead, Rhonda. The floor is yours.
Mayor Harvey, at first I had on my big computer. That's why I couldn't get up.
Okay.
I'd like to look a politician dead in their eyes, but I can't do it. Okay. My second question, this is...
Is she well?
I have 2 questions. I'm going to start with you with my second one so you can see where my mind frame is, a head start on my mind frame. Why is everything purple now, including the street lights? And I just noticed the other day that Joe Biden's plane stairway used to have red carpet. Now I got purple carpet. That's a rhetorical question. I just want you to think about that. But I have a real answerable question. And that's on July, I think 11th, Mayor Adams made an announcement, made a PSA announcement about surviving a nuclear bomb. Was you on this task force, or was any of your people on the task force that made that announcement?
No, because Mayor Adams is the mayor of New York City. He and I know one another. We met personally shortly after he won his primary election before becoming mayor. We have mutual friends because obviously Newburgh is an hour north of New York City, so we're a separate municipality. We're our own little city.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand that. I understand that. I
Yeah.
just wanted to know, was you at any point on that task force? Because the
Nah.
same thing Barack Obama said in 2014, I think he was in Brussels, he mentioned a nuclear blast in Manhattan. And that kind of stuff don't skip over me. Y'all warning about something.
Yeah.
I know you can't tell me, but I like
Well,
to
let me say this, Rhonda, because I am a part of conversations with federal and state officials. With all that's happened in the Ukraine, and Russia's involvement. Obviously, we all know Russia has nuclear capabilities. China has nuclear capabilities. North Korea also, to some extent, have nuclear capabilities. The world is very different right now, and all that's been happening in the Ukraine is a sign of, aggression, right? It's almost, when we look historically at Axis aggression, which is the main cause of World War II. And if you look around what's happening, you see some of the same parallel issues that led to the Second World War happening with the invasion of the Ukraine, prior to that, Crimea, right? So so those talks are happening behind the scenes at the federal, state, and even local levels, especially the large cities like New York City, and even at the United States Military Academy at West Point, which West Point is in our backyard. So, yeah.
Okay. Mayor, I'd like to thank you for answering my questions to the best of your ability, because I know you can't be getting precise.
Right.
But I'd like to thank you. And could you tell us more, elaborate some more on the behind the scenes that you know about that was made public recently?
About that particular issue?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that, anything we need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely keep you all informed. It is a very real situation. It is of national security, an interest of national security, when we talk about where we are as a country. And again, going back to public safety is the number one priority, not only for me and my residents in the city of Newburgh, but it is also that way for the city of New York, that way for all the large municipalities. And New York is a target. New York City is a target. No,
Okay, that's the word I wanted to hear. Target.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a target. It's
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'll get down so somebody else can get up and answer questions. It's nice meeting you virtually.
Likewise.
Take
Thank
care
you.
and God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
And I want to make this clear too. Being that we upstate New York, our laws are different than Bronx, Manhattan, Queens,
Brooklyn.
and Brooklyn.
See, let me down. I can't get down.
Okay. Let me kick you down. Did we froze here?
What's that, Sheila?
Okay, I'll try to get my.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
There you go. She's gone.
Oh. So.
Yep. She figured it out.
No, it ain't. I don't know. They had told me, I thought it was my mouse, but it's the internet. They said something with Brazil and America with the internet. Anything you know about that?
Yeah. So I don't, man, with these heat waves and these environmental weather incidents, that's going to happen. They're affecting our towers, our internet, fiber optics as well. So we're having these weather events happening, and these heat waves, and there was we're quickly approaching the hurricane season. There was a couple tornadoes a couple weeks ago in the area, so all that has a grave effect on the internet and our connectivity and so on. So
They had told me that. But again, I want to thank you. And I don't guess nobody else have any more questions. But Donna, how you doing? But the end of the day is I really want to make that budget clear for people that even when I had interviewed your cousin Ray, the president of the NAACP, and he was getting the budget of the board education, and they got $330 million.
Wow.
Y'all budget.
A lot of money, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
Yeah. So the school board's budget is $300 million. Ours is $70 million.
So
if you include the enterprise funds,
for
us. Yeah, they're three times our budget, the school district, and that's because the school district services the enlarged areas, which is the town of Newburgh, the city of Newburgh, and the town of New Windsor. So we have students from all three municipalities going to our schools, and you have tax revenue coming from those different municipalities as well for the school district. It's
hey,
the
Mr.
largest.
Harvey.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Harvey. Yeah, if I let you some information in the back check, just take the information down, sub to the channel, take my email down. Would like to talk to you more behind the scenes. I could probably give you some good ideas.
Oh, okay. Absolutely.
Here, hold on. And he's definitely going to ask all the questions. I'm clicking. I can't play my mouse this time. I'm clicking. Give me a minute.
$291.
Okay, here you go. Here you go. How you doing, family? Yeah, what? He back off again? Is he back?
Your thing is acting up. Yeah, he keeps going back.
There we go. I'm here.
Don't show you, Steph.
Okay.
I know. Nothing.
I know you're gonna ask him.
Oh yeah, be ready, Mr. Torrance.
Okay.
No, it's nice to meet you, Mayor. Hey, everyone. Hey, Sheila. And everybody in the chat. I almost missed it. I had to run. So I got your text about the live stream. I was definitely anticipating this. It's nice to finally meet you, Mayor Torrance. And also congratulations, just from one young Black man to the next. I'm proud to see you doing the type of things that you did and where your interest had lied. Far as even your own career path is enough to inspire the community. So even that in of itself is very honorable. And so thank you. Because a lot of these is dusty. Okay, let's just go ahead, put it on out there. How hard is it though to work and to grow and to thrive in this type of community of brokenness and division in our community, knowing how important it is for brotherhood?
It's very difficult, and it takes a thick skin, and it takes a really, really spiritually rooted individual, no matter what your beliefs are, what spiritual beliefs you have. If you don't have that, and that thick skin, it's very difficult, when you are dealing with folks, that get Twitter fingers on social media. Again, people have a different persona and a different courage when they're typing it on a keyboard, commenting and saying things sometimes they wouldn't even say in your face, so it's difficult, that on top of, like you said, Yusuf, and thank you for those positive words, and because I don't hear that stuff a lot. You hear all the negative, you get all the the issues, and with the community at large in our city and throughout the country, if not the world, that, like you said, the brokenness, the mental, social, and emotional brokenness and pain that our people have endured for centuries, you compound that on top of what people are dealing with individually in their own circumference, in their own homes, on top of a global pandemic. And this is what people don't get. We got through a global pandemic, 2 years of COVID-19, where people were dropping like flies. People were dying from an invisible virus. And we were able to navigate that and unpack that and to, preserve life and to help give assistance because of food insecurities, because of homelessness, because of just trying to survive that virus. People losing their grandmothers, people losing their aunties, their uncles, their cousins, their brothers or sisters that weren't even 40 years old. Dead bodies everywhere. I can't tell you how many funerals I've been to. I was at a funeral yesterday. How many funerals I had to attend and how many, letters of condolences and proclamations I had to write for community leaders, community stakeholders that died between 2020 and 2022, and the events that I've had to go to and the food pantries I had to volunteer for or contribute to, because I don't make those announcements. You can't speak on all those matters. And I was telling Sheila, she knows this. My wife works for Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. My wife is the housing counselor for Legal Services of the Hudson Valley Newburgh office. And she's actually in Monticello today. So she's worked with the Newburgh, Poughkeepsie, and Monticello offices with these issues with housing. That's the first lady of the city. That's her job. She's a housing counselor. So all the people on Section 8, all the people that, are behind in rent, that are being evicted, that are, lost their jobs, a lot of those issues not only fell at my desk and the desk of the city council and the city government, but also my wife has been doing it throughout the pandemic. She's been there for like 10 years. So even before the pandemic. So, telling and exposing people to ESSI, the Empire State Housing Initiative program, where people who are formerly incarcerated, people who are homeless or about to be homeless, and those who suffer from substance abuse. The ESSI program is a New York State program for housing and providing housing for folks who fall under those categories. That's like Section 8. Section 8 is through HUD. That's a federal funded program. ESSI is a New York State funded program. Just exposing and getting people to the right organizations or programs while they're dealing with homelessness, while they're dealing with insecurity, food insecurities, while they're dealing with losing jobs, unemployment. It's a multifaceted thing, Yusef. And to answer your question directly, when you got people hating on you because you're in a position of leadership and you're African-American male, which they're not used to seeing black male leadership, and they're black, right? So, you're a sellout, or you're educated lame, or you're this, you're that, you're Uncle Tom. So you're getting that from your own people, and you're still helping people on a day-to-day basis. You got boots on the ground, and very vocal, very transparent, and very supportive. And then you get the white folks hating at you because you're very honest, you're very open, transparent, helping those who have been marginalized and set aside, those who have been ignored for hundreds of years, and you're helping them. And then there's certain white folks that hate on you too because you're a black male in leadership. Or like, we're working on trailing down the overtime in our police and fire department. Firefighters, in our city are mostly white Americans, and they mostly don't live in our city. So they come in where their salaries are $72,000, but they're taking home $176,000. Or their salaries capped at the highest paid captain in our fire department, $87,000, and one took home $216,000. $216,000 gross pay when your highest salary as a captain in the fire department is $87,000. So that means that, they said, that was because he retired. It was his severance package. Okay, yeah. Part of it was unused sick and comp time, right? That they cashed in, but you're still at you're still at $180,000 when your highest salary should be $87,000. So when you start exposing those kind of things and you start working with the city manager on making sure that that overtime is trailed down and controlled, you become the bad guy there. So it's difficult. I know it looks like we lost Yusef.
Yeah, but
We just lost him. Yes, we just did.
you talking some good stuff, though, because like I said, in the real, and a lot of people not used to hearing, mayors or senators talking like this. Like, these are things behind the scenes y'all don't know.
Right.
Right. So be transparent.
Yeah, and that's the key, because public trust is number one for all of us elected officials. If the public don't trust you, you're done. Talk about dirty politics. You're cooked if the public don't trust you. And I spit this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding because, first of all, I'm a teacher. I don't even really consider myself a politician. I've only been in office since 2016, 7 years in politics, but I got 24 years as an educator, right?
Yeah. That's good.
So I'm still in the classroom. And that's another thing. When you see Black men in the high school classrooms or any classroom, elementary, middle school, there's data saying graduation rates exponentially increase when you see a man of color, a Black man especially, in the classroom with boots on the ground teaching lessons from day to day. And I happen to teach history. I chose history to be my focus because we were always taught the wrong history.
Go ahead.
See what I'm saying? So teaching history for 24 school years and American history and government and civics so I can educate my community on how the government is organized, how it functions at the federal, state, and local levels, and when, where, and how to engage as your civic responsibility. And I even write about that stuff in my poetry. How to engage as a citizen of the United States of America, knowing your rights, knowing the Constitution has 7 articles and has 27 amendments, and knowing those key amendments for your protection and your safety and your well-being, so that you have liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness all the days of your life and your family's life. How to engage that, not only for protection and safety, but also for the beneficial elements and
beneficial.
Yeah, for you and your family.
Right.
That's been a lifetime. That's been a lifetime thing for me. I've been doing that, man. Even when I was in college, I was schooling cats. When I was a college student, I was educating folks, and tutoring people about the Constitution and some of the things that the federal government have that we should take advantage of, for our own social economic prosperity. So that's always been my platform, before I even got into politics. So, and I'm a student. I will say I'm a student of, the Black poets. I'm a student of guys like Dr. Henry Louis Gates, and so many Dr. Henry Clark, right? Dr. Henry Clark, Dr. Henry Louis Gates, some of these I will even go as far as the comedian his name slips from mind, the brother that recently passed away a few years ago.
You talking about Bernie Mac?
No, he was part of the civil rights movement.
No, Bill Cosby.
No, not Cosby.
When it came to Black history and stuff.
This brother just passed away like 3 or 4 years ago.
Paul Mooney?
Nope. He's a contemporary of Paul Mooney, though.
I don't know.
It'll come to me. Anyway, very, very influential historian that brother was, even though he was a comedian. He was the first Black comedian to perform in front of white audiences.
Okay. Okay.
Right, anyway.
She said, right here. She said, what is your
thoughts on sovereignty? Being a sovereign citizen?
Okay, right there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I study sovereignty and becoming a sovereign citizen and things like that. That's a tricky element. When we talk about the Native Americans and the indigenous people here in the United States of America who are sovereign, there's a lot of elements to that. You know what I mean? I knew a brother who became a sovereign citizen and try to reclaim his straw man, and things like that. And went through the State Department, got a new federal ID, became a sovereign citizen and indigenous status and stuff like that. The only thing that I know that this individual did was, he ran into a lot of the tax issues. You know what I mean? So, becoming a sovereign citizen, if you really know what you're doing and you got the right legal minds around you, I would never discourage anyone from becoming a sovereign citizen, but just be careful because, the federal government and that IRS took down a lot of good brothers that did that. And they were close to me. Obviously I wouldn't say their names, but I remember one time, a young man who became a sovereign citizen and reclaimed his straw man, because you got the living, breathing human person, and then you have your straw man, and the whole concept and theories behind your birth certificate and the federal government trading, getting federal bonds sold to China and stuff like that based on our labor and labor projections in the United States of America, and people not taking back their straw man and their birth certificate and tapping into their treasury deposit account, their TDA, So my man had did all that. I got a guy that did all that. He tapped into his TDA account. It was supposed to be $1 million for everyone were issued a birth certificate. And he started using the money from his TDA account. He had a check for $250,000. He showed me that check. $250,000
Wow.
from his TDA account. He showed me the check, cashed it, bought a house, bought a Benz, and shortly after he got that $250,000 check, the IRS was knocking on his door, and they said, "Don't you ever do that again, or we coming to arrest you." Now he kept the 250, but he never did that again. So there's an entire thing with becoming a sovereign citizen, having your indigenous status, reclaiming your straw man, getting your birth certificate and owning your straw man and tapping into your TDA account, your treasury deposit account. I researched all that. Like I said, I had a lot of friends that went down that path, but I never went down that path. I would never discourage anyone from going down that path, but I will say, if you do, you better have be ready. You better have a strong legal team around you and with you at all times, because the federal government, which claims sovereign immunity, they have sovereign immunity. The federal government, they are strong and they are mighty, and when they come hard. That's what I would say.
They still want you to be a slave to this country. They don't want you to know nothing. They don't want you to own nothing. They want you to be dumb and uneducated as a black male and as black people. And we have to get over a lot of things like that. Another question I want to ask you: where do you see Newburgh in the next 5 or 10 years going?
Oh man, it's gonna be booming. It's gonna be serious. The city of Newburgh, because we got projects in the pipeline that people don't even know about yet. And that's why my executive team is encouraging me to run for re-election. And some days I say yeah, some days I know you're gonna go there, Sheila. I know. So my response to am I gonna run again? I have not made a decision, because some days I'm like, oh, absolutely, because I know what's coming. And to answer the brother's question, brother, what's your name?
Go for it, my man. We need
to
change the world, change the nation. And it takes one person to spread a seed across the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the team that we have created and developed in the city of Newburgh, I'm very proud of. Even though the city manager and I sometimes you know, we don't see everything eye to eye, but he's a great dude, super smart, super educated. And we've created a team that's unstoppable. This is an unstoppable team. So, you know, I really, my heart is here. It's just that sometimes, you know, when you just keep getting beat up by your own community.
Yeah, people,
it's not
yeah.
everybody. It's just, you know what I'm saying, your own community. It's not everybody, because some people like Sheila and others, they give me the props where props is due. It gets weary, man, especially you come through a pandemic. Anybody that was an elected official during a global pandemic, everyone should thank them for their service, just like we thank our military personnel for their service when they come out of a war, because that global pandemic was like war, man. It was like war. And I'm telling you, the emergency response teams and the meetings that we've had with the county, with the state governor, like I know the governor personally.
Mm-hmm.
I know the governor. Like, we've had meetings upon meetings. You know, our U.S. senator, we had to get close to our senators, Gillibrand and Schumer. We had to get close to our congressmen.
Schumer, right.
Maloney. Like, yo, I'm any and everybody that's gone through a global pandemic as an elected official, trust me, it's like being in the military. It's like being in combat, those meetings and those.
So you had to go. So you had to go to briefings left and right every day. Get phone calls. You didn't really get much sleep at all. Is what you're saying, right?
None at all. You see the bags in my eyes, man.
Yeah, I see them. I see them joints, cuz I see them.
I'm
yeah.
I'm trying to recover. You can't
right.
even sleep.
Exactly.
You can't sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, briefing. I mean, I'm doing briefings with the state National Guard, with the governor. I'm doing briefings because you got to look at it. This thing was multifaceted. We had a water issue before the crisis. Then we had the healthcare crisis, which is an invisible virus we hadn't seen in America since the World War I with the Spanish flu.
I didn't get a haircut. I didn't get a haircut for 6 months because of that. And I was working through the pandemic, driving and picking people up. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. So,
but I know people that died from getting a haircut with this virus.
That's a fact, man. Food insecurities, homelessness.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm really it ain't nothing but the YouTube devil. And like Sheila, you got something going on with yours. It's something going on with mine. I believe it's the YouTube devil. They don't like Negro unity.
Right. Facts.
Right.
So anything you
want, they like a beefing.
And BB, you said go ahead.
They love the Jigaboo show.
Yeah,
hello, everybody.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello, everybody here. Thank you, Sheila, for pulling me up. My voice is caught. Thank you, Mayor, for this is just so inspiring. The question that I want to ask you, what are you doing about your inside image when it comes to your physical and mental health? Because that's what we don't look at, and you're got a lot of responsibilities on you. So what are you doing, or when do you have time for your self-care?
That's a big question. And as we were saying earlier, during the pandemic, I didn't have a lot of time for self-care because of all the briefings and the meetings and the vaccine sites and the testing sites that we had to organize and participate in. But I do a lot of my self-care late at night, early in the morning, you know, where everybody sleep. So I might get 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, you know. I do a lot of writing. I was telling folks I got 2 books, America, Yase and Kofa, not trying to plug it, but that's part of my self-care. I write poetry, and my writings. I got a children's book with the publisher now. You know, that's going to be released April 2023, and they're getting the illustrators ready and the editors and everything. So I do a lot of writing. Writing is therapeutic for me. Reading is therapeutic for me. So I do a lot of that late at night or everybody's out to the club on a Friday night, like tonight will be Friday night, I'm not at the club. I'm in my house, in my home office, or somewhere in a quiet space, writing or reading. So that's part of my self-care. I have brothers. I have older brothers and I have a twin brother. So on Saturday mornings around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, we're running hills on Saturdays and Sunday mornings. I run hills on the weekends to stay heart healthy, to keep my cardiovascular system moving, sweating, so I do that. If I can sneak in a speed walk, Wednesday during the middle of the week or Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm lucky. That's like platinum to me. So so I do a lot of speed walking, light jogging, and I run hills to exercise. I try to go into the gym, but I never can make it in the gym, even though I paid a membership at Gold's. So I do a lot of cardio work, mostly on the weekends, on early morning, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning on the weekends. I do my writing late at night, or if I wake up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll do some writing or reading. Right now, I'm reading a book by Donald Stevenson. He did a movie on Netflix dealing with the incarcerated folks that were on death row. What's the name of that? The name of the book slips my mind. That's what being a 50-year-old.
It's just slipped my mind myself.
Mercy, Just Mercy. That's what it is.
Oh, Just Mercy. Okay.
Yeah, he did. So Brian Stevenson did I think it's on Netflix. It was a movie called Just Mercy, but he wrote a book about him going to Harvard Law School, him being a part of this non-for-profit legal organization, and I want to say it was in Alabama. And then when he graduated from Harvard Law School, he moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and he still was. And then he created his own organization for fighting and defending the rights of incarcerated individuals, particularly African-American incarcerated individuals on death row. So Just Mercy, I'm about halfway through the book. So I love to read. I don't have time. So what I'll do is I'll either burn the midnight oil on a night like a Friday night or a Saturday night, or wake up like 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning before I start my day. And, and now I'll start with prayer because I am a Christian brother. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And,
amen.
That's my Lord and Savior. So I pray constantly. I fast. I read. I love to write now. And I used to hate writing when I was in high school, but now I love to write. And I'm a published author. And so that's mind, spirit, and mind, body, and soul, mind, body, and spirit. So to keep my mind fresh, I read things like the Brian Stevenson's work. I'm loving that book, man, because this dude is talking about people who were wrongfully convicted of heinous crimes, and they're on death row. And this dude, being a Harvard Law graduate, is defending them. And it was this one guy, his name is Walter Macmillan. And Walter Macmillan was a family man, but he had extramarital affairs with a white woman in the 1980s. We're talking like 1987, 1988, and living in Alabama. And because he had this sexual relationship with a white woman in 1987, 1988, he was wrongfully convicted of murder. And they knew he didn't do the murder because he was with his wife and his children and his church family doing a church family fundraiser where they were giving out dinners, selling dinners from his house the day that the murder was committed. And this man is on death row, and they're going to execute this guy. So I'm only halfway through the book. And so I don't know from the book whether or not Brian Stevenson was able to get him exonerated from that heinous crime. But that's part of my mental, feeding, right? My mental feeding. I read, and I'm a history
mental teacher. Exercise. Let's just put it that way. Mental exercise. It's a better phrase.
Yeah, my mental exercise. Right. So my physical exercise, I run hills on Saturday, Sunday mornings, and I try to get a day or two in with some speed walking and some, during the week. And then with my with my spiritual stuff, I'm in constant prayer. Of course, I read the Bible. Uh, I haven't been to church in a while. It's been a couple months, but I try to go to different churches in the city to show love. But then I have my home church here in the city of Newburgh, which is Church at the Bridge or Baptist Temple. And then there's a church in Harlem, Reverend Calvin Butts, where I'm actually a member of the Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York City, in Harlem, New York. And I've been a mentee of Reverend Dr. Calvin O. Butts. He's sick now, so keep him in prayer. He's got cancer. So I'm close to Calvin Butts, Dr. Calvin Butts of Abyssinian Baptist Church. So I keep my spiritual side going. I don't get to church as much as I would like, but I definitely do. And so that's what I do to keep my mind, body, and
Well,
spirit.
thank you. I
think that's a
appreciate
good question.
you. Excuse.
No, I said that was a great question, because that was kind of what I was going to ask too, and I wanted to elaborate on that to get a kind of different response from him, BB, because that was one of the good questions, because I was wondering, like, being a politician and a teacher and things like that, how do they make y'all get mental evaluations?
No, there's no mandatory mental evaluations.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's not, that goes from where I sit right on up the chain to the president of the United States of America. I mean, look at the former president. What was that, number 45? I think, was that 40? Yeah, Obama was 44, Trump was 45, and Biden's 46. So look at 45, man. That dude, that dude's got some mental issues, man.
Somebody trying to, it's not me. It's my stream. You're acting stupid. So.
Well, thank you. That was it. What was you saying, BB? I just wanted to finish that question with that question, because that was what I was thinking too.
Well, I agree with you, because we as people, we need to do something about that, because they should be evaluated. But I have two more questions. I hope I can remember. Oh my God.
You drop off for a minute and then have whoever in the back that could come up, because my internet is acting stupid and it's not trolling down.
You want to drop off?
Yeah.
Who?
Keystone.
Yo, you better make sure some people not around messing with it, because you remember what happened before.
No, this is the service. StreamYard.
Okay. Yeah, but I know someone had asked. The young lady had asked.
No, I hadn't asked. Can you hear me? Is everybody here?
Yeah,
you're loud and clear, Skills. You can go right ahead.
I was about what I wanted to ask you about the reading. And I started Brian Stevenson's book a long time ago. I need to pick it back up and finish it. It's really a very good read. But that's, how can we promote that more, reading and writing with our youth, and having more authors? I don't know if that's too much in a question, but
it is. It is.
Hold on, Keystone, can you drop down for a minute? Because whoever in the back, so I can't, it's not letting me roll down. So somebody, just drop.
All right, I'll drop out. All right.
Hey, Yusuf, you got a good way of, can you break this down? Because I guess I'm having trouble doing it.
What she said, how can we more introduce the importance of literacy to children? Because as you mentioned earlier, Mayor, about adult literacy, how much it becomes an issue in the future. And so when we can catch it with things like that, like when our children see us more geared to about reading and about our minds and stuff, it influences them to do the same. They essentially do what we do. And so how can not only it be introduced to children as a more positive thing, but also through adulthood, and also for ourselves, because it's one thing when they teach you something and it's not the truth. It's another thing to be taught the truth.
So excellent question for both of you, Yusuf and BB. and I had said this earlier with Sheila. So I'm an author, published author. I wrote my first book in 2017. It was published in 2018. It's entitled Yasan Kofa. It's a book of poetry based on culture and my research on race, culture, and ethnicity. One of the
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and if you look at it, the cover, I had my colleague who's a teacher. She designed, after I explained I wanted the African continent and a woman, because we call Africa the motherland. It's the place of the birth of the oldest human woman fossils known to Olduvai Gorge, Mother Africa. And then my second book is America, America. This came out in 2021 during the pandemic, and it was influenced by the killing of George Floyd. And the poem America, America deals with the social justice movement and how we need to, from an African American lens, how we need to work around cultural awareness, cultural sensitivity, cultural responsibility as an avenue to bring about effective change in American race relations, right? So, to answer your question, BB and Yusef, if you know people in your community who are writing and they're African American or people of color writing, the context of their writing is going to be from their lens, from their cultural lens, the African American or Black male lens. That's what I write from, and it's from a historical, because I'm 24 years teaching history. So one of the poems that people love hearing me recite is my culture. And it goes, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit because it's memorized, right? My culture stems from the beginning of human time and human history. So shout out to archaeological digs of Marion Lewis B. Leakey and the significant sounds of natural resources being extracted from that land for consumption and obstructions, capitalists worldwide. And to all hell we send thee. And finally, my culture encompasses a bloody, untold human history that too captures the hidden colors of forever. Colors of colorful rainbows as 13 moons divide themselves in cycles of 23. Holy Father, Holy Grail, we sing praises for the Holy Trinity. Study up, Black boys, and learn the journey of human history of Ghana, Songhai, and kingdoms of Mali. We wrap this knowledge around our consciousness and dig the black skin that we're in. How you count your days and time shall confine or define or possibly hide your mind from greatness. It's time to watch our black sun rise and shine. Our culture stems from the beginning of time. So that's my culture. That's one of the poems in Yasan Kofa. So if
That's
you know,
nice.
you see what
I
I'm
was
saying?
snapping on mute.
Thank you. But you see what I'm saying, though? If you know there are African American writers, especially if they're local writers, how we engage the youth and even adults to feed and exercise their minds through literacy is to promote those writers. And that's
What
why
is
I'm
the
saying,
political connection, sir? What is the political connection to the film and movie industry in your what you know about it? Because that's very important too. How culture and literature translates into film and television. That is another place where our power is missing. How do you do you know any type of relation
yeah.
between
So
the film and the real world?
absolutely. So I have a film theater background. Like, so my college degree from Morehouse College is in theater. Okay. I studied at the theater school, which is a conservatory theater program at DePaul University in Chicago, Illinois, right? I studied a year in a 3-year program, ran into some racism there, and decided that I wasn't going to continue the MFA in acting program after 1 year of intensive Shakespeare, Chekhov studying and doing theater. So my background is in theater and film. I was a part of SAG, Screen Actors Guild, which is now SAG-AFTRA, since 1992, right? So before going into teaching, I came from the theater, television, and film world. And so my point is,
It was easier to tell your story on paper, right?
it was easier to tell my story on paper, get my own work published, right? Which it costs money. And I said to even Sheila, I had people in my community, Yusef, mad when I was promoting my books on my personal Facebook page. I'm like, how are you mad that I'm promoting literacy? And then you get black folks that jump on that bandwagon because one, many of our people don't like to read. Hey, many of our people don't like to read. Number one, they say if you want to keep something from black people, put it in a book because we don't want to read. And two, I'm selling literacy. I'm selling like writings, my own personal writings from my own investment. And people in my community was hating on it, like here this dude go again. He the mayor. He want to sell books, but people didn't criticize the black men that are selling poison and drugs on our street corners in this city.
Right. You're supposed to be selling literature. That's what you're supposed to leave behind. You're supposed to leave behind structures and literature and recordings and all data and research because we are born into this.
Thank you. Exactly. And that's also why I wrote and got my stuff published so that I can leave a living, written history or legacy for not only my own children, my blood relatives, but for the black community and not only the black community, the white community, whoever. I'm leaving this historical primary source document that will supersede my lifetime. You get what I'm saying? So that it's in writing. And that's what, so can you imagine, Yusef, you researched through ancestry.com who your great-great-great-grandfather was, and then you found out that he wrote books for you to read?
Right. It hurts with now when I hear that. Now I've been doing real good because I get triggered, right? And the thing is, when I hear about going to ancestry.com, I'll just hear people who took us, stole and raped our culture out of us, trying to pimp it and sell it back to us. So I don't even trust their results. They need to be worrying about their DNA results. Now I'm gonna just leave that at that. But that is, I feel like that's why I asked about film, because I feel like if the children would see more in the media that they consume, that we as adults subject them to, they observe us in the way we do, just like a lot of our children see us not fighting back and not resisting our position and fighting for our position in society. Kids see racism too, and they see it and they like, well, why don't you fight it? You know, you're big like him. You know, and I think that our kids do feel a certain level of letdown and bitterness and animus towards their own people because we don't fight. And there's creative ways to fight. Everything doesn't have to be violent, and there's everything, but people don't even want to do that. And then they want to judge the people who do want to fight. So I feel like if the kids would see more movies, TVs, and music about important and interesting things about us from that same black standpoint as you are when you put the pen to the paper, you see, when that translates into film. And then when it translates into music and it translates into other digital outlets, and then the people consume that, and then the children consume that, and then they're interested in that, and those books they will pick up.
Absolutely. And, you know, I wholeheartedly, agree with you, Yusef. And, unfortunately,
a good movie about a library that's magical, that tells all your history or something like that for the kids. And people don't want to do that when they get in positions of power.
You're right. And, unfortunately, we live in a fast food, society. I call it a fast food society. If it's not on Snapchat, if it's not on Instagram, Facebook, or like you said, on Netflix or in the movie or whatever, it's hard to keep the attention of our youth, especially our Black youth, our young people of color. You're right. And it has to be translated in. I'm just not there yet in terms of screenwriting and stuff like that. I do engage, I've turned some of my poems into videos, like short videos on my website. If you go to my website, www.torranceharvey.com/books, you'll see two of my videos, maybe even three of my videos where I've turned the poetry into videos. One video is entitled, the poem is called Run. It's about a 50-minute video with an African-American man running through the mountainous terrain. And it's an inspirational poem for people to chase their dreams, follow their dreams, and to paint their picture themselves and being successful. And it's entitled Run. And so I do get what you're saying. If you go to my website, www.torranceharvey.com/books, you'll see my videos because of that point you made, turning, art and literature into multimedia is super important because of our fast food society. But at the same time, I definitely wanted to put it in book form for generations to come. And don't you know, I'm a 24-year history teacher, and all the libraries in this area and the school English professors or teachers that I work with should be ordering these books, because we don't celebrate, and this is to my point, we don't celebrate local authors who are writing great literature and works to feed our community.
Have you ever been on the Black Books Matter tour?
Nah, I never heard of it.
Because I hosted.
Can y'all hear me?
I hosted.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
I hosted a Black Book Matter tour, and you seem like somebody that I met there. See, it's people like you that are inspiring. See, you got to keep going. You write, and you just drop off the books and drop them on like turds and keep doing your movements. You know what I'm saying? Keep being a great mayor and a great father and a great husband and a great man and a great person, and just keep going. It's probably about balance. You know what I mean? It's probably about balance, because it's hard. You can't do it all by yourself, because that's the thing. When a Black man finally get in a position of power and they don't have the brotherhood and the Black nationhood together, we're all working with the collective system. So either way, we just got to go along to get along and be a part to ultimately keep going on what's going on. I'd love to see, last time I talked to Sheila E., I was saying some type of Black United Assembly or the United Negroes Nations or something, just where it's like, what is the name that we call for ourselves? We always take the names they give us. It's the N's, right, and the Black Americans and what are we for real?
Right.
We're the originals, And absolutely. I think that there's something to be said about that. And that division is really hurting us real bad. It's hurting us real bad. Oh man, it's hurting us so bad. And people don't even have interest in the things that matter. It keeps you out of the positions of power in society. And the things that matter, people are changing. Nature and science and metaphysics and all kind of things going on. And social sciences and spirituality. And we're just sitting here lost in the sauce, scared of our ancestors and scared.
Okay, Yusuf, let me interrupt here real quick. Yusuf, you just try and take up the whole thing. Okay.
I came in late.
Mayor, I didn't like how they turned the Haitians back. When they paid, turned the Haitians back. The weekend before the past weekend, they turned them back, thousands of them on boats. They turned them back to their war-torn country, and they have Ukrainians coming over here and Mexican, which they'll pay for housing and food stamps and everything like that. And then why they turned the Black man down, which built the country. Okay, that's a statement. Another statement, I'll have three statements. My next statement is, did you hear, this is really a question. Did you hear about China seized 7,500 and something penises, Black penises, and they were called, they had them marked as plantains. Okay, China seized them last week. And also, P. Nygaard, the billionaire, he got a video floating out about the Black people, the Black women tapes him behind his back. He said, how much you want for your percenter? How much you want, he said, even though we're going to leave y'all behind, and I swear to God, it's a video about this. He said, even though we plan on leaving y'all behind, we can't go forward without your placenta or your, I forget what else he said. Don't make me out a liar. He said placenta and so. And he said that the white race cannot go on without those things. Okay, and those are my three statements. I just want you to ponder. If you can answer. But this is a real question. In your opinion, what do you think about preppers? And do you think it's a personal choice, or is supposedly okay, what's the word I want to use? I mean, is it better off for men of these days to be prepping, or you think it's a personal choice? And with that, I'll get down. I just want you to have some on your mind. You got Sheila, you got Your Highness, Your Majesty on your panel, and
thank you.
You should utilize them. Utilize them. Okay, I'm gone, Mayor.
Yeah, let me chew on some of that. That's a lot of fat to chew on.
Okay, I'm gone. You can go back over the tape and write down the names I said and the videos I said, and it's true. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll see you later. My equipment's messing up over here, and I'm on my cell phone now. It is messing up, so I just gotta go. Bye.
Okay. All right.
Well, let me address the thing with Haiti. So in the 1790s, the French had a revolution, and this is in my global history curriculum. So it must be the mailman or something at my door. So my dog is wilding out. But so King Louis XVI was captured and beheaded by guillotine in the 1790s. I think it was like around 1793. Word had traveled across seas to Haiti. And we know Haiti, which is on La Isla de Española. La Isla de Española is Haiti and Saint Dominique, was known as Saint Dominique, and Dominican Republic. So the Spaniards obviously controlled Dominican Republic, which is the eastern part of the most of the island, and the western part of the island was controlled by the French. So Toussaint L'Ouverture and the Haitian Revolution would emerge as a result of the king being captured with his family and in prison, and then eventually guillotined. And so the French would go through this revolution in France, and then the Haitians would launch a very successful revolution and gaining their independence from the French colonial empire. Now, obviously, the British Empire was the largest colonial empire with colonies in 4 hemispheres of the world. And because of the British and the French and even the Spanish dominance in world affairs in terms of imperialism, where strong nations take over weaker nations, and mercantilism, which means that a colony exists for the benefit of the mother country being either France, Spain, or England. And then later on, Germany and Italy and so on, and Belgium, with the Congo Basin region of Africa being controlled by the Belgians and King Leopold II. All that's global history. All that stuff I've been teaching for 24 years. And you see some of that history in my writings. Haiti won its independence. It's the first African colony in world history to win its independence from a European colonial empire. That is why when the Haitians come to the United States, they're turned away or sent back. Ooh. That is why. And there's no question about it. That's why I'm very close friends with Wyclef Jean and his cousin, Jerry Wonder. And I have a lot of friends that are Haitian, and some of them even live in Newburgh. And we know that's so when Toussaint L'Ouverture and the other I think it's Desailles, I always mispronounce the other brother that was part of Toussaint's revolution and the Haitian Revolution. But anyway, when they were successful, the French turned their backs on Haiti, and the Europeans turned their backs on Haiti, refused to do economic trade with Haiti. And before the revolution, 55% of France's wealth came from that one colony. Let me say that again. 55% of France's wealth in the 1780s and 90s came from that one colony known as Haiti. or Saint Dominique, as they called it then. Now it's known as Haiti. And that inspired this poem that says, when I face those indigo blue skies, I look toward that light, my shining star, providing a reflection of who we really are. We are effervescent beings from simply being shining stars, complex, simplistic, transparent, elusive, traveling through space within our humanistic race cars. Zoom, zoom, our music is pervasive. Boom, boom, our music is pervasive. So use your elements to create and go gold. Our music is our alchemy. My music speaks volumes, volumes to many other humanistic race cars. So speak, I say. So if I find a spot where truth lies, I will whisper those memories of my children's future so that I might live a brighter now. Now is the essence of my domain, which contains all that was and will be. Who will be singing your next song and telling the correct human history? My music speaks to those indigo blues stolen from Haiti, like French colonial powers, inability to be creative. Coffee beans and coca, she's so dainty. That's my shining star. Haiti is so dainty thus far. And that's what in this indigo. Indigo is a mineral that was one of the minerals and natural resources that came out of Saint Dominique, which is also known as the French colony of Haiti. That made France very wealthy, and 55% of the French wealth in the 1780s and 90s and even prior came from that one colony, and that dictates how Western countries, European countries, the United States, and everything else treats Haiti and has treated them since they gained their liberation and their independence from the French colonial empire. If you put a white European Frenchman in the same room with a Haitian and an African brother or sister from Benin, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, which is also known as the Ivory Coast, or Senegal, you put them all in one room, they will communicate in French. You see what I'm saying?
Thank you for the good information, and we've been on here a long time, and I thank you for your. It'd be like 2 hours and 16 minutes. So
I have one more quick question.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a lot of community activism going on in your family, and are you related to the NAACP chapter president? His last name is Harvey as well. Am I wrong? Did I make a mistake with that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Ray Harvey and I've known each other for at least 10 years, right? And in 2019, he and I were at the Illuminated Festival together, right? And I just knew him as a community person and, you know, the president of the local chapter for Newburgh, Highland Falls, NAACP. Oh, okay. Can y'all hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I was joking with Ray Harvey, and I was like, yo, you know, you born and raised Newburgh. You born and bred here. He said, no, I'm not. And I said, Ray, you not from Newburgh? He was like, nah, I'm originally from North Carolina. And I was like, what? And I was like, yo, my mother's from North Carolina. And then he said, what part? And I said, what part? Where are you from? He said, no, you tell me where part is your mother from. And I said, my mother's from Halifax County. Ray Harvey said, I'm from Halifax County, North Carolina. In fact, I went to Halifax High School. And I was like, word? I said, you got to be kidding me. You from the same county where my mother's from. He said, what town was your mother's from? I said, Enfield, North Carolina, which is a small little town in Halifax County. And he said, I'm from Littleton, North Carolina. And we looked at each other and we were looking at one another in amazement because I had known him for 10 years as Ray Harvey and I'm Torrance Harvey. And we used to joke about being related. And it comes to find out he and I are related because My mother married her cousin, Clinton Harvey, and Clinton Harvey is my father. So Ray Harvey, now Clinton Harvey is my father legally. He wasn't my biological dad, but my mother had her first husband was Clinton Harvey. We found out my mother and her first husband were cousins on her father's side. And the long story short is Ray Harvey is my cousin, because if you are a Harvey and or a Hawkins, Johnson, Harvey, Hawkins, Brinkley's, McWilliams, Davises, and even Hardys were all related. They're all from the same two farms in Halifax, Halifax County. Enfield in North Carolina is so close to Littleton that it's like city of Newburgh and New Windsor. That's how close Enfield and Littleton are. So yes,
when you say farms, what do you mean by farms?
My mom was raised on a farm in Enfield. Yeah. So my mother was born in the 1930s. So her parents were sharecroppers. And then we
was it a human farm?
No, like regular farms, like where you grow crops.
Because we have this history of slavery. They never repaid. I just wondered if they paid y'all.
Oh no, yeah. These were farms that white folks owned. Mr. Hardy owned the farm.
Plantations?
Nah, they were farms, but eventually, yeah, they were plantations at one point. So after slavery ends in 1865 with the 13th Amendment being ratified, my ancestors that were slaves, and we have a slave document. We have a slave schedule with my great grandmother, Mariah McWilliams, who was born on a farm in Caldwell, Louisiana, and sold to the Quarles, to the Quarles family, which is in my bloodline as well. The Quarles family, slave owner, owned my great grandmother, and we have her slave schedule and everything. And she bare children from her slave owner's son, who was 19, and my great grandmother had her first child at 10.
Wow. Is your family out to get reparations?
Oh, absolutely. We definitely looking at that because, I think it's HR House Resolution 40, HR 40, which started with John Conyers out of Detroit, Michigan. Congressman John Conyers from Detroit, Michigan started the HR 40 bill, and he has recently died. He died just before COVID, I want to say. And there are other people who have been pushing HR 40. When I talk to my congressman about it, he don't want to talk about it.
Corey and our team was doing. So we've been getting a lot of pushback.
Yep. So, if they pass that HR 40 in the House and get it to the Senate and get it signed by Biden, then we have our documents ready for that, for those reparations. But you're right, Yusef. We ready. We haven't really pursued it, to be honest with you, but we are ready. Our documents are ready because the HR 40 got to pass through the House, and then it got to go through the Senate, and then it's got to be signed by the President of the United States of America, but Black folks to finally get reparations. And I told Corey Sheila that that's not a local. We don't have local jurisdiction to do.
We already we know, because we had a meeting in Sean Maloney office, and it's a state.
He's the one. He's the one that got to be pressured.
Yes. Sean Maloney, Jonathan, and different ones. So we did protocol and everything. It's like, and reason why I use Corey, because Corey his stuff. He was just on here 2 weeks ago too.
Oh,
so
nice.
and I would love to have you on the panel, Corey on the panel, Ray, and Phil. I would love that. I'm brainstorming because y'all bring a lot to the table.
Yeah.
And I like your point of views, and y'all each doing different things. And I just want to say thank you. And again, thank you for your time. And I gotta have you on here more often. Thank you, Donald. And Bella said that she loving learning true history. And
Yes.
Miss O, she gave people your website. That's my angel in the penthouse. She gave people your website to look for your books and everything you have. So again, like I said, keep on doing what you're doing. I would love for you to run again, but again, that's up to you and your family. Discuss that because you bring a lot to the table. You have brought a lot to the community. You have brought a lot to the homeowners. You have brought a lot to the business owners. So don't think that your work is not in vain. Don't think people not out there, not everybody against you. There's a lot of us out there really praising you and giving you your flowers while you living, you know?
Thank you, Sheila. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody on this panel discussion. There's one love, man. You know, we really got to support our own, and we got to support one another. You know, Sheila, if after the new year falls in 2023, January 1, 2023, let's get together. We could put together a team. And I'll run again. You know, and you know, one of the things that I would like to say, because this panel brought up some beautiful inspiration. Y'all inspired me more than I've inspired you. And that's to say that when it comes to literacy and it comes to supporting the writers in your community or in the Black community, I'm gonna check out that information about Black Book Matters tour, Brother Youssef, because if people are in positions to host or speak to their local Barnes and Nobles or whatever on and put together these book tours and these book events that have poetry and readings for our young people to fill up the room. The more we do stuff like that, the more we can build momentum for this Black literature and for the literature and literacy of our kids and our young people in our communities nationwide. If like I had a book signing at the Adrian's Memorial Library in Poughkeepsie, New York, last week. I had like 15 people show up.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm grateful for the 15 people, but that library room with my poetry, it should have been flooded. And what's crazy is it was in Poughkeepsie where I was born and raised. And I got 5,000 Facebook friends on my Facebook. And half of them are like Newburgh, half Poughkeepsie, half are like the HBCUs, Morehouse, Spelman, Howard, whatever folks, all these folks. And 15 people showed up to my poetry reading in the library where I first learned how to read. That's what was nostalgic for me. I was at the library where I first learned how to read in Poughkeepsie, New York, Adrian's Memorial Library, 93 Market Street. And 15 people showed up. And guess what? Half of the 15 were my family. So like 7 people are my family members. The other half were white people. I was like, wow, this place should have been flooded. I even sent an invite to a council member, and she said, oh, I'll be away at a conference. Okay, well, if you were going to be away at a conference, you're a council member, you could have sent this to 10 of your constituents or 20 of your constituents and made sure they were there if you couldn't be there. So those are the kind of things. So we work in isolation, we work in silos, and it's like Youssef is rugged individualism when it comes to Black people and us supporting each other.
Yes.
It's rugged individuals. Like I got mine, like somebody said, who was it? I think it was Snoop Dogg said it. I got mine, fool, but you got to get yours.
Pretty much the self-centered mentality.
Yeah, that's the mentality.
That's self-centered mentality. And we need to stop that self-centered mentality. It's going to destroy us. It's going to kill us. You know what I mean? They already got plans on the book on us to take us out right now. I want to know more about the HR 40. Can you educate me on this?
Let's
Yeah,
we are.
I talk to you behind. I talk to you behind the scenes,
yeah.
guy.
Well, let me say this, Sheila. I know we got to go. Sheila, let me say this. We get in this pattern where we don't support each other as African Americans until other cultures or communities support us, right? So we gotta get love from the white American community before we jump on the bandwagon. We gotta get into, huh?
Some really feel like that. That's why I support Stormy and her husband restaurant all the time. That's why I go there all the time.
Right. Look at Oprah.
She don't, support her.
Oprah, if it wasn't for white folks supporting Oprah, we wouldn't have supported her.
Exactly.
Support Oprah until all these white people loved Oprah and her book club and all this and all that. That's when Oprah blew up.
And you wonder why they have it crushed towards our race, but they had to go through. They had to get the bandwagon from white people to get to us, and this is why we get the coonlism that we get.
Man, I had a council member record me in a private phone conversation when I found that there was corruption with a former city manager. And Sheila will tell you this.
Yes.
I called as my duty when I was a mayor. Shortly after I became mayor, I found the evidence where a city manager was stealing time from the city. And it was an African-American council member that I called when I got recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
say it again.
It was an African-American council member that I called because I had to call all the city council members about the corruption that I uncovered to make the city manager resign because he was stealing time from our city. All right. Mm-hmm. This council member was Black. And I was recorded. Now, whether she recorded me or someone that was sitting next to her recorded me, I don't know because I wasn't in the room. I just know I called that council member like I called the others to inform them about the corruption that I found and discovered. And this person was forced to resign. And that council member or whoever it was sitting with her that recorded me released it to the newspaper during my next year election.
I was so floored. I was like, ooh.
I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't, I couldn't. I was sick for 3 weeks. I couldn't.
Yeah.
He called me. He was like, sure. I said, man. And let me tell you something. I'm not just saying that, but he have a heart, and he really, really have. I mean, and it's just not just with everybody. With everybody, it's not about color. Us as human beings, that's what his heart at. You gotta realize he don't just choose, pick and choose. It's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so it's sad.
Wow. Because I was excited that I found corruption because this individual, along with other council members, hated the guy, and I was playing nice with the guy because not playing nice. I was being nice to the guy because I knew he had a lot of power. And I didn't know, I didn't have evidence that he was a bad guy or he was doing anything wrong. So, and I said, if we're going to be effective as council members, you got to work with the city manager for you to get things done for your community. And so they hated me. They were like, oh, you kiss up to him. You do this, you do that. And they hated this guy. And I was like, well, I don't have any evidence that he's doing anything wrong. And if I want to be effective as an elected official for my community who voted me in, I got to work with this person. I wasn't kissing up to him in my eyes. So when I found the corruption, I called this individual and another one, or I called all the council members, but this individual hated him with a vengeance. And I thought this person was going to receive it well. So I was all excited to call her. And, I was a little vocal. I was a little vulgar with my language, it was like, we got his bleep, 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 I got the evidence, you know, and I was curse words, right? It was something, you know, this is a private conversation between a newly elected mayor and a council member, and it was a private phone call that I did not know was going to be recorded, and whoever recorded it when I'm talking to this person sent it to the newspaper when it was time for my special election, you know, and I was like, wow, and they released it all over the internet, and it was like, this came from our African, yeah, and this person wanted to, and then I said, and I would ask all my close friends who grew up with this individual, why would she do this to me? And they said, because I said, this person hated this guy, and that's what they wanted. They said, yeah, but you caught him, and they didn't. That's why they recorded, because they didn't catch the corruption. You did. I'm like,
they want to take credit, not you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that?
They wanted to take credit, not you.
Yeah, they wanted the credit, and it wasn't about the credit for me. It was about, all right, this person's corrupt or doing something wrong for the city. You got to go. You know, I was more about cleaning up City Hall and corruption, more so than who gets credit for it.
I know a couple of people that happened to down here. I can't mention their name.
Yeah, so. But listen, I got to go. I got to run. Take care of some stuff. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, everyone. BB, Youssef, Keystone.
All right, peace out. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure
Peace
to meet
out.
you. Visit my site, man. It's in the chat. You know, check out the videos.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Peace.
We'll talk later.